Hey there, gorgeous. I hope you're doing fantastic. Welcome back to the Indie Reviewer, my monthly series where we take a look at a random indie game that I found interesting this month. On the front page of this month's Indie Reviewer is Dead Estate. Developed by Milk Bar Lads, an interesting name, and originally produced on a well-beloved cesspool that I spent most of my middle school years on by the name of Newgrounds. Also pertaining to its Newgrounds background, this supernatural roguelike proves this age-old saying, sex sells, to be true once more. I originally found this 8-bit retro-inspired hell of a good time through Indimus's gameplay video on it, which is a video I strongly recommend if you want to see a full playthrough of the game. The thumbnail for that video is definitely not the reason I clicked on it. Shut your up. Now, while I poke fun at Dead Estate for utilizing much booba to sell the horny side of the player base, which is most gamers, let's be honest. Although, if I am being honest, Cordelia is a blessing to us all, let's be frank. But in the end, Dead Estate still stands on its legs on its own, without any of the baboodagalonkas, the big ol' gongalazongas, the gonkalatonkatonkas, the great big yababala. Oh, right. The bit died in my mouth, I tasted it, I felt it, we're just gonna move on. The gameplay is interesting and adds a unique spin to your average roguelike setup. Where many roguelikes use rolls or dashes, examples being Death's Door or Enter the Gungeon, Dead Estate utilizes jumping as its primary dodge mechanic. You leap over bullets, hop onto tables, bound over your enemies. It adds a literal dimension to the gameplay. And flying enemies are only hit if you jump to shoot them, and make sure to watch for those flying projectiles or spinning maces that are a danger when you jump to dodge, requiring you to keep track of the air above you as well as the rotting enemies at your feet. But while this adds an entire layer to the game that is missing in other roguelikes, it still wears its inspirations on its sleeveys. The core of the gameplay is the same: space to dodge, or jump in this case, and left mouse button to shoot, and of course, WASD to move. This is the bread and butter of your typical roguelikes combat mechanics. And while jumping is a welcome and great addition, this still very much feels like most roguelikes you've probably played. It even allows multiple loops in one run, reminiscent of Nuclear Throne. The difference being you can loop before the boss to prepare more thoroughly, rather than after. So, while the game holds the vibes of similar games in its delectable hands, it manages to have such a wonderful art design for its monsters, bosses, and of course the costumes of its characters, or lack thereof. They all scream this comedically gritty style, and I adore it. Now, where the game really does get unique and shines is in its massive array of weaponry and items. You see, as you progress through the game, you will find or have the chance to purchase weapons from the gun merchant, who is also the doctor and also the witch lady. You can't fool me, witch! I'd recognize those bongalagongas anyway! These weapons have a set amount of ammo and are typically far more powerful than your base weapon. And the weapon designs are definitely unique. Meat gun. Other than the weapons, as I mentioned before, there are items, and these little shits are where things get wacky. These items typically are passive abilities, ranging from normal stuff like being able to jump higher, shoot faster, or deal more damage, that kind of stuff. But where shit gets wacky is when you get to the fun stuff, the stuff you're here for. Be it a little floating pumpkin of mass destruction that just follows you around like the cute little guy he is, or, you know, a vial of blood. How does it affect the game, you ask? Does it improve your power? No. But does it make you feel more power? Yes. It makes it gorier when you kill stuff. That is an item. It is an item that makes things die harder. Bruce Willis would be proud. Now, after you've played the game for a while, you will eventually also unlock 4 more characters after the initial 2, each having a game-rupturing playstyle that changes everything. One character uses magic and thus has weapons from an entirely different weapon pool than everyone else. One fellow uses a bat and turns the game into Lethal League Blaze. Yeah, this game is fantastically fun and has an immense amount of replayability, but I do have some slight negatives. While the perspective of the game looks cool and unique, it is sometimes a little frustrating. It can be really hard to see where enemy projectiles are going to land unless you are focusing on the shadows they cast, which after you get the hang of it isn't too obnoxious, but it can feel a little frustrating when you are as dumb as I am and struggle to focus on anything other than the colorful blob spinning towards you at supersonic speeds. The only other annoyance being that it can be hard to sometimes see enemies when they are blocked by things in the foreground. There are these little red sperm worms that get hidden in between those fucking pots all the damn time. Other than that, I don't really have any other complaints. The game ran great. The enemy design was varied and fun to play against 90% of the time, and the fact that there isn't a massive immortal mutant bunny that chases you throughout the floor if you take too long is a great bonus. I'm so glad that he does not exist. Anyhow, you will find Dead Estate to be a horrifically wonderful tromp through a haunted manor and your constant escape from your real life. Played for the gazongas, stayed for the gameplay. That's Dead Estate in a nutshell. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video, do give it a fabulous little like. If you'd like to see more content like this, and I know you do, come give that subscribe button a nice old consensual smack. But most importantly, have a wonderful goddamn day and don't die, bitch. Thank you.